So this is the way this season goes. It's been such a weird season that has messed with our heads so much that even good news is met with a lot of terrified cynicism for a lot of fans. Yesterday, Alex Wright gets signed. And he gets extended. $33 million over the next 3 years, 21 of which is guaranteed. I'll say this right now. I'm a big fan of Alex Wright. I think that his return has been fantastic. He's not a Myles Garrett, obviously, so some people just, well, where does he show up? I like Alex Wright, and I want to give credit where it's due. I think he's a fantastic player. I've got the chance to talk to him here over the last few years. He's come back from that injury. I think his story from coming back from that injury is great. I don't know if you get the level of seriousness out of other players that you do with him. There's a lot of guys on this defense who I just have a great deal of respect for, I got to tell you, personally. All show stuff aside. And he is one of them. And I said that, and immediately people going, does this mean Andrew Berry's going to stay? And I'm like, oh, God. So now things have gone so toughly, so poorly this year, is that if they sign an extension with somebody, then it automatically means the guys are going to stay. I don't know if it's going to stay. I don't know if he's going to stay, Andrew Berry. I don't know if he's going to go. I think that they look at their situation in the NFL as stable. And I think that the weight of the opinions of other people in the NFL matter a great deal to them. I think if they didn't, they would have probably let go of Kevin last year. They might have let go of Andrew last year if the opinions of others in the NFL didn't weigh upon them very heavily. I think that there is if we were going to talk about guys getting let go, I think there's about a 50-50 chance with either. And some of you are going to say 50% that they stay? Yeah, 50% that they stay. I think that even though I say that, and a lot of people are nervous when I say it, this is a signing you'd want anyway. We can't meet everything with doom and gloom. They are what they are, and I know that a lot of fans want their pound of flesh. I can understand that from fans. Okay, you're mad. It's not been your season. It's not been our season. It's tough. Now, I think that there's been some extenuating circumstances, but that just turns into a giant bunch of excuses. And I think Sunday, I'm hesitant to say anything even in defense of the front office and the coaching staff, because I want to see how things go on Sunday. Because I think that there's so many things, like when I talked about Shedeur on Wednesday and the situation he's in, Anthony, a lot of people took it as anti-Shedeur. Well, it's the internet. I can't help the internet. That's fine. But I said, no, that's not anti-Shedeur. It's a question of all this. And I think that a first rounder would be under some duress with this football team, let alone Shedeur Sanders. I think Dylan Gabriel was put in an unfair spot. Joe Flacco, to so many ways, might have been put in an unfair spot, but he's been in the league for 20-something years, and he's probably used to it by now, and it's whatever. But I look at it going, well, is this the blind leading the blind? Is this still not a great – because, yeah, I know that there's some rookies there, and they've played well, but my issue is the timing of everything. And it's not necessarily great timing, and I worry about Shedeur and what they're going to be able to do on Sunday. Now, if they win, I ain't taking back anything I said. It's going to be a celebration here on Monday. But even you could see how tough this season is for fans where Alex Wright signing an extension should be good news. And it's taken with cynicism going, that doesn't mean he's staying, is it? Like, this has been a rough year. That's part of the reason why, yeah, I'd really like something to celebrate on Sunday, even against the lowly 2-8 Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah,
on
so
the road.
when they announced that signing yesterday, I was like, all right, this is, what was he, a third-round pick that, I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowler anytime, but certainly a nice compliment to what you have with Myles Garrett on that defensive line. We were in the abyss there for a while, trying to figure out year in and year out, what this defensive line was going to look like, from, making the big splash moves with Jadeveon Clowney to Zadarius Smith. And, along the way, we've tried to find the right pairing. And now with the drafting of Mason Graham, it seems like we've got a defensive line that, as long as Myles, can elongate a prime and he looks like he has no signs of slowing down. Like, this is going to work. This is going to work no matter what, as long as guys stay healthy. So, and that's the same question every team in the NFL is hoping for their talented position groupings.
But even like when you looked at the Alex Wright signing, is there anything like, because that to me is the first sign of okay, give me some stability, young player. Obviously, I think he is a Andrew Berry signing. If I were Jimmy Haslam, even if I decided that at the end of the year I was moving on from Andrew Berry, this is a deal that I'm willing to do. Or as the owner of the franchise, he's a good player.
Not just moving on from Andrew Berry. There's obviously been the speculation that his role could change and there could be promotion from within. Which I know is going to sound ridiculous to a very big portion of the fan base. Going, man, I don't even want to renew my season tickets next year after this disaster. So how are you promoting anybody, or how are you promoting from within? How could that be the case? So I'll just say this is not a big ticket item. Like, the big ticket item stuff is where I would pause and say, are we sure?
Exactly.
That and again,
thank you.
Myles Garrett getting that big contract last year. I mean, if you made your pitch to Jimmy Haslam that we can't trade Myles, even though we got 3 first rounders potentially coming in from specific teams.
Yeah.
I think you would do that either way. Either way, if you're Jimmy Haslam, you're like, yeah, I want to believe in my football team over the next few years.
Even if it is,
now maybe another GM could come in and then sell you the following year that you could trade him.
Well, I got nothing else, but one of my problems is, and this is where I think this sets you up, and you're getting to this, and I don't mean to steal anything from you or even repeat what you might have just said here. But this has been my issue. When you've gone through changeover, you've let good football players go because of philosophy. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that a million times over. You remember the one NFC championship game where the Falcons were in so many years ago? And gosh, I forget how they were playing because there's been a lot of beers between them then and now. But they had that list of former Cleveland Browns who were in the NFC championship game and contributing. And I go, that's the issue, guys. When you have so much changeover, you have new philosophies coming in, and they go, these aren't good football players. I need to go get you good football players. This is how this is going to work. Big ticket items, like you said, that might raise a flag. You're exactly right about that. My issue is those good football players who end up on other teams that help the better football players. Alex Wright's really good. He ain't Myles Garrett. He probably, and I know it's a different position, but will he make the same impact as a Mason Graham? Well, you hope not, because Mason Graham's top 5 overall. So you hope that Mason Graham is much better. But Mason Graham will someday, you hope, be a big ticket item. I don't know who's going to end up signing him. I don't know if this means anything for Andrew Berry's future at all. But even if it were, and I don't know if it's an owner decision or not, but if I were Jimmy Haslam, there's 2 things that I'd like to do that I think help fill in the blanks for my football team, regardless of any decision I make. And I want to make sure that they are locked in and they are past any sort of differing thought on that. Number 1, Alex Wright. Wanted to sign him, got it done. 2, and people are going to, there's definitely going to be people who balk at this because he's a part of a group that isn't that great altogether, is Wyatt Teller. And you and I have brought that up before, is because you go back to the Jack Conklin principle, which I know is not a great example because not a lot of people trust Jack Conklin. But again, what's the going rate? And are you going to be able to replace that guard right now, especially with either, well, we'll see Sanders on Sunday and see whether or not he has what it takes to be a candidate, to be a quarterback for the long term, or if you bring in a rookie, or with a bridge quarterback, which is another one to talk about at 8 o'clock.
I just looked at his age. It says birthday, November 21st, 1994. Does he turn 30 today, Wyatt Teller? And we're talking contract extension?
Wouldn't that be 31?
Well, it says 30 right now. Did they not?
He's 31.
He's 31.
94 to 2025.
Turns 31 today.
Can I get him for another 2 to 3 years?
So he is.
And what? Because you're supposed to have his backup there in Zach Zinter, but that ship is sailing.
Yeah, seems
further
like
and further through Lake Erie. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, that's kind of where you're at right now. And I could use that against Andrew Berry and go, well, your backup, your guy who's supposed to either replace him or Joel Bitonio, you can't even make him active. Okay, that's used against Andrew Berry. But I know that Wyatt Teller, now he has me in a spot. Offensive line plays worse than it's been in years. Okay?
That's across the league. That's not just Browns.
Yes, I know that there's fans who are going, Kenny, really? Okay. Guys, you let him go. I'm just creating another hole for whoever my quarterback is.
What it's going to be really hard to separate And Wyatt Teller has been awesome for most of his time
and
in
I trust
Cleveland.
him more than a lot of free agents. I'll tell you that right now.
And you trust him more than somebody like that you extended, and it has bit you big time in Conklin.
But this is his last year.
Right. This is his last year. The question is, you're not, hopefully if you extend Wyatt Teller, you're getting some more Wyatt Teller years and not the roller coaster of the health and is he regressing because of the age?
Yeah, understood. But those are the two things that I kind of want to. I know that I got excited at 6 o'clock, so it's like, hey, I'm going to be pragmatic here. I think it doesn't matter who the owner is. It doesn't matter who the general manager is. You see what this team is, and I would rather make these signings now because I think Wyatt Teller's going to help out whoever the quarterback is next year because I think you're about to go through a really tough situation here with your offensive line. I think Ethan Posick probably isn't long for here. I don't know where Luke Whippler's going to play, though. Could Luke Whippler replace Ethan Posick, or does Luke Whippler replace Joel Bitonio more than likely when he's done after this year? I would say personally, I haven't talked to the guy. I'm about 75% sure he's done. And the way he talks a lot, it's almost like he's kind of giving you some hints there, it seems. But I don't want to put words into his mouth. At the tackle positions, if we're hoping that Cam Robinson's able to come back, no offense to him, we're in kind of a tough spot right there. Jack Conklin, not a lot of people trust him. I go further than that. Can I trust DeJuan Jones? I can't trust him to be healthy. I think I can trust him as a right tackle, but I can't trust him to be healthy. So now I have to worry about that. It just makes sense to me that, one, you keep Alex Wright, good player, extend him. It's a good signing no matter who the general manager is. And two, now we look at our offensive line and probably get something done with Wyatt Teller. There's probably a couple other players that I haven't thought of right off the top. But just to calm down the waters a little bit on, oh my gosh, I don't know whether that means he's staying or whether he's going.
I still think it's too early to tell. I think
it's too early to tell.
I think Jimmy Haslam would love to bring everybody back, but we still have 7 games. And
that's going to make a big difference.
And I am curious, this Shedeur thing, is this an experiment? Can he validate whoever's responsible for the Shedeur pick? If he plays really well, flip side of that, if it looks disastrous, why did he start already then? If the goal was to sit him this year, redshirt him,
that's true.
I think all that is going to play in to the bigger picture decision making.
Get ready to get the chessboard out. It could be time to do that. Also coming up at 8:20 this morning, the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder. 9 o'clock, Nathan Zgura coming in hot at 9:45. Please keep your comments within the boundaries of good taste. I'm going to play this Nick Costos on Baskin and Phelps. I almost said Ask Him Baskin. On Baskin and Phelps coming up here in just a moment. I did ask you right before the break. Shedeur Sanders. He's got 7 games. Because a lot of people, once they extended Alex Wright, a lot of people go, oh, gosh, that means Andrew Berry's going to stay. And it's like, well, you could do worse. But I'm not going to say too much because I don't know what I'm going to be saying on Monday, so I don't want to say too much. However, because of that, there's 7 games left. Could Shedeur Sanders save Andrew Berry's job, Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he can save everybody's job.
I was wondering what you were going to say.
But to be fair, I would have said the same thing about Dylan Gabriel.
Would he say?
I would have said the same thing about anybody they trotted out there.
Okay, that's an interesting part
Bailey
of it.
Zappi.
Because
could go on a run.
Nick Costos, BetQL, was on with Baskin and Phelps. He had this to say yesterday.
Yes, they're 0-5 on the road, but I don't know, it feels like a lot of those teams are good, and then they lost a fluky game to the Jets, so I don't necessarily put a ton of stock into that. And I'll just repeat, just on the Browns overall, I actually think, this season is a success for Cleveland. So many of the young players are good. How good is Schlesinger? He's going to be an all-pro. Fannon's good. Mason Graham's good. This is exactly what you wanted this season to be. The Browns were never going to the playoffs this year, and I was consistent in the offseason with you guys. The quarterback of the future is not on the roster. And now you've set yourself up with multiple first-round picks in next year's draft, a good young nucleus of players, and now you can go get your quarterback and really cook with gas next year. I actually think this season is a smashing success for the Cleveland Browns, even if the record doesn't show it.
Okay, I'm going to get to that here in just a second because I don't think I totally agree with that whatsoever. However, if he goes out there and he plays well on Sunday, it's the first step. Now, he has to have... Again, my thought for next year is quarterback until one of them makes me not want to take a quarterback. That's where I'm at next year. That's where I think the Browns are. That's where I think the owner is. I think it's quarterback next year, this coming April, until one of these guys proves that you don't need a quarterback. Whether it would have been Dylan Gabriel, whether it's Shedeur Sanders. You got 7 games to prove me different. That's a lot of work in a short amount of time. Because as you go step by step, There's going to be more tape on you. They're going to be able to figure you out a little bit better. There's going to be better teams you play against. Are you going to be able to answer that challenge? I don't know, but it only starts with the first step, and that's on Sunday against the Raiders. And I think you're right, because while I want to attack his overall point on this season's been a success, by the way, it's Wesson Jr. Well, I want to attack Nick Kostos' overall point. If he goes out there and he plays well, Nick Kostos ends up being right. Because now all of a sudden, these guys that end up being wastes for us, you're hitting the green light. Like Kyle Brandt went nuts on Good Morning Football. Is he still on Good Morning Football? I'm sorry. I like Kyle Brandt. I just haven't seen Good Morning Football in years. I think he went nuts on Good Morning Football about Myles Garrett being an NFL Defensive Player of the Year on a bad football team, on a top 5 drafting football team. Okay, well, if Shedeur Sanders ends up playing well, now it's worth it. This team that has veterans, if Shedeur Sanders ends up playing well, now it's worth it. As of right now, though, as of this morning, it's not worth it. And I can't say that this season's a smashing success because I still think that these rookies are not going to be playing with some of these very good players for long. So as soon as I fill holes with some of these rookies, I have created new holes because of the veterans. I've created new holes because of the contract to the quarterback that puts me in handcuffs now because I still have to pay off the freight on a quarterback nobody wants to see. More on that coming up at 8 o'clock. Like, those things affect you greatly. And plus, it's been a good draft class. You got good rookies there. Nobody trusts the general manager still. Nobody does. I see your latest one, and I know Alex Wright just got signed. That's a good one. But if I were to go out on the street and ask 100 people if they trust Andrew Berry or not, you're going to get about 85 say that they don't, Anthony.
Well, a couple things here. I mean, it is about time that the Browns had a good draft class and that a team has a chance to turn it around quickly. That is how the rest of the NFL operates. So it would be like, finally that would happen. Now, we also seen in the NFL, I mean, the Jets in 2022 had a great draft class. And what happened afterwards? So just having one good draft class certainly does not necessarily mean that you're going to be competing for Super Bowls shortly thereafter. You know, we've seen plenty of teams fumble that because obviously what he's getting to is you got to get the quarterback. And the hope is that we already have one on the roster or that we can go get one next year. And look, that's what this whole thing hinges on because they've already got the really good defense and you have no reason to believe that the defense is going to fall apart next year or even the year after.
No.
A lot of that hinges on the health of Myles Garrett, right? And whether or not he's going to be here. But the good news for Browns fans is in this league, you're always 1 year away. So it's about time that we act like it.
I understand you're 1 year away, but is the 1 year... Well, wait a minute. So are you agreeing with Nick Kostos then on that point?
I'm not agreeing that this year's been a success. I don't know how.
I don't know. Smashing success is crazy.
Smashing success would have been what you were hoping for at the beginning of the year, which was 8 or 9 wins. Like, that would have been the smashing success.
Yeah.
They're looking like one of the worst teams in football, despite having a elite defense.
I'm sure he's looking at it as you're setting yourself up to get your quarterback next year, and you have rookies.
He came into the season thinking they're going to be terrible. And none of that mattered. It was about evaluating rookies. But like I just said, man, ask the Jets fans. 2022, didn't they have the Sauce Gardner draft, the Breece Hall draft?
That's exactly
right. They thought they'd be really good.
That's exactly right. Like, and how many rookies do I have here that's contributing out of 53? I got rookies here that are contributing. I got Quinshawn, I got Harold Fannin, I got Dylan Sampson to a lesser degree, but he's still there. Aiden Huntington, I'll throw him in there. Mason Graham's having a good season, even though he doesn't show up in stat sheets because he's a defensive tackle. But he's having a very nice year. Carson Schlesinger might end up being the defensive rookie of the year there. Okay, that's 5 guys that I can name right off the top of my head. I still got 53 other guys. And what about the second-year guys? What about Mike Hall, who you just got back? Mm-hmm. Okay, what about some of these other guys that are still younger? What about Zach Zinter, who, again, can't get even active, let alone be put into the starting lineup there? Like, that's part of the issue. This is some of the stuff that's going to end up costing you. So even if Shedeur goes out there and plays well on Sunday, yes, Monday morning, I'm going to be excited. But by Tuesday and Wednesday, yes, I'm going to have to look at this with a little bit more pragmatism and go, okay, he's played well against he's played well against Las Vegas. How do I get him to play well against San Francisco, knowing that, hey, Kyle Shanahan and that defense, Robert Saleh and that defense, they're going to be ready to go. What am I going to do to get him across there? And how can I keep this team still in good standing with a lot of folks? Because you are still not out of the woods. I'll take it step by step. Without a doubt, I'll take it step by step. But I just had Jerry Jeudy Not very thrilled. I just had Joel Bitonio, who's not going to probably be here next year. That's granted. But Joel Bitonio has seen every single style of quarterback that you could possibly find over the last 12 years of his career, however long he's been here with the Cleveland Browns. And he sounds like he's kind of, well, maybe we could scrap together some drives and see if we can go out and do it. He's very hesitant in his own right. So my hope is exactly that. It's a hope. Is it an expectation? No. But I'll go step by step. There's no way I can say that this season has been successful. I got 5 rookies. My team isn't that young. If I had second and third year guys exceedingly well around a quarterback, that would be different. I got 7 games to make that happen. And if not, I go into next year where already I got every Tom, Dick, and Harry telling me, Ken, I don't know, there's no Julian Sayin in this draft. There's no, like, it's already beginning there. So I would much rather go, hey, Shador plays well. I'd much rather do that because I know what I'm seeing here because I will have seen him for 7.5 games as opposed to guys who, coming out in college, it's more of a crapshoot than it's ever been. I'd love to, but I don't know if that's going to be realistic. I don't think it's going to be realistic because of this entire setup this year. That's why I still had the feeling I have on Wednesday. I'm excited and I want to see him do well coming up this Sunday, but I can't fight what I know and what I feel in the back of my head that I felt on Wednesday. There's a lot of things here that are against him, let alone whatever you think of his play and how good he's going to be. There's a lot of things where he's just not set up to be very successful right now. 216-474-0092. Travis, where are you calling from, Travis?
Spencer, Ohio.
Where the hell is that? Okay, go ahead, Travis.
So, follow me on this. I think Andrew Berry keeps his job because of this. When he made the trade for Deshaun Watson, that put us in a bind. Now, take that out of the equation. Look at this defense. Next year, you got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah hopefully coming back. You add him with Schlesinger.
We haven't heard. I will say this: we haven't heard the more and more I don't hear anything about that, it would seem like that's probably not much of a chance.
Maybe I'll get a good update coming up later, Travis. But I gotta agree with Anthony. I hate to say it.
I think he's coming back, but let's say he does. Okay, you have all the ammunition you need to then spend this whole offseason building up the offense. Now, the good thing is if Shador does pan out, Andrew Berry looks like he's the man because you have the offensive line that you can improve, and then you're really a receiver and a left tackle away from, I say, competing for the playoffs.
Well, if you have a quarterback, regardless, and by the way, I did not know where Spencer was. It's in Medina County.
West Medina County.
Population, according to Wikipedia, almost 700, 684.
And that was one of them.
They got the White Elephant Saloon and Peepaw's Full Throttle Diner.
They have a diner and a saloon?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds
Not to
like
mention the Spencer Main Street Market and the Spencer Community Fire District.
Can Kenny's Meemaw go to Peepaw's?
Meemaw, Peepaw, fetch the radio station.
It's time for Spencer football.
It's time for Ken to talk about Shador Sanders. If you have a quarterback, it would change everything. But if you don't have the quarterback, it feels like they're eons away, and we're wasting the season. You can't say this season's successful when every game that goes by, it's just where my defense gets older on a team that's losing. As great as this defense has been. Because I'm telling you, at the end of all this, if they can't get this figured out here in the next couple of years, this is part of the reason I'm so damn desperate. You think you feel bad now? You think you felt bad when Joe was playing for how many years and your offense couldn't get their head out of their ass? And your organization couldn't get their head out of their ass? And the only thing we have to do is just apologize to Joe for the great play around the terrible football that he had to be a part of there? How are you going to feel about Myles Garrett?
Yeah,
how are you going to feel about that?
The other thing is it's so tough to just assume you've got long runways in this league. I mean, just ask Buffalo. Buffalo last night, 8 sacks for Josh Allen. Ask the 49ers, who have a good record. 2 Hall of Famers, potential Hall of Famers, are out for the year with injuries.
Exactly.
Like, that can just happen, and then what? So it's really hard to just assume, and Nick Costas was doing that. Oh, yeah, next year they're going to be great. You just don't know. It's just really hard. That's why it's hard to ever call a season a success when you're sitting there at 2-8 and you're underdogs this week on your third quarterback, but really like your sixth quarterback of the year against the Raiders on Sunday. That's what's so hard.
Adam in Cleveland, you're next up on the Fan.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Adam.
Hey, I kind of agree, like I said, part of it with Travis, just in the fact of if we're able to find and Shadur is able to be the guy, I mean, the fact that we have 2 first-round picks, what we can do on the offensive side, I mean, I'm a big believer. I would take the best wide receiver if we find Shadur. I think we take Tyson or Carnell Tate. And then I know the last Alabama left tackle absolutely made us want to jump off a bridge, but I think Caden Proctor would be huge. I mean, I would take Fano too, but I think he's a right tackle.
Whoa! We're putting carts before horses here.
He was also a right tackle in college.
How do you think? Well, I'm not gonna. Well, the thing, if I can say this, even though I don't want him to talk about the draft right now, for the love of God, I'm not gonna let another guy being a failure coming out of one school affect how I feel about another guy coming out of that school. That's how I had one of the worst opinions about Patrick Mahomes in my life, because of the way that other quarterbacks were. However, Adam, let's start with the first thing, okay? How do you think he's going to do Sunday?
I've been a firm believer, and I think a lot of people in Cleveland have been. I mean, I think he's going to do all right. I think it was a little weird. You guys have been saying it too, just though he didn't get 1 reps, last week or when he became the 2. Now, I know he was injured, but, I've just seen some things. I have some buddies just around there and just seeing, like you said, the progress is real with that guy. Now, again, it's going to take a little bit. Don't get me wrong. But I think Sunday you give him a full week. Again, we're not looking for anything special. I just wanted my biggest thing, and I want to hear you guys, what you say, just don't lose the game.
Well, if he's able, he doesn't have to go. Adam,
we got to make sure he doesn't lose the game. We can build up on it. And then
your call's breaking up a little bit here. I don't know where you're driving through. I hope you have a good day. I'm going to agree with you on that. He doesn't have to. Well, Spencer probably has good cell phone reception. They probably have a lot of cell phone towers out there. I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess. If he doesn't have to throw for a bunch of touchdowns, guys. He could throw for 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns. He could hand the ball off to Quinshon Judkins at the 10. You're going to have to throw the ball decently to move the offense here. Like I'm not going to be a victim of the stat line here. If he throws for no touchdowns and they win the game and he doesn't turn the ball over and he doesn't put them in a bad spot, he's starting next week to me. And if he's not, I'm going to raise hell. Ain't going to be doing a damn bit of good because they ain't going to make any decisions based on me, but I'm going to raise hell. And I think fans should raise hell over it. I got a guy who I think has a bigger ceiling, higher ceiling, playing decent enough to go out there and win. I'm going to give him another game. If I had to sit here through 6 games of Dylan Gabriel and whatever that was and just go, well, he threw 7 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. Okay, well, 2 can play that game then, and I'm going to do it. So don't give me that. If this is what we're doing and we're just figuring out as we go here about who can stay for next year and that's what this season becomes, and I'm willing to accept that as time goes on, don't get me wrong, then I don't give a damn. He goes out there and he plays again against the San Francisco 49ers. So he doesn't have to throw for umpteen touchdowns for me to put my stamp of whatever it means to anybody, my stamp of approval on any of it. I think you feel the same way on that based on what we've seen. As long as he plays better than that,
yeah,
I'm going to be feeling okay.
Absolutely.
My issue is that there's a lot of things that are stacked against him from his history coming out of college, the type of offense that they run, the type of players they have around him that I don't feel great about. And I will not walk away from that. That's why Sunday is such a big day for me as a Browns fan. And I think it's a very big day for us as Browns fans altogether.